Today, I'm going to show you how to make Lobster Thermidor. And we're going to cook the tail meat in a saffron sauce, stuff these shells, and bake them to perfection. So stay tuned, as this recipe is up next. Here I've got 3 12-ounce lobster tails. And instead of cutting down the center on top, we're actually going to cut up each side of the bottom of this membrane using some tin snips. If you don't have tin snips, any seafood shear will do. And you want to cut through the fins as well, and right here at the bottom, just round it out and then come up the other side. It only takes a minute or so to do each one, and as you can see here, you can then pull the membrane straight off. Then using your thumbs to separate the shell from the tail meat, you should be able to pull the tail meat right out, except for the bottom where you have to tear. And you can rinse and devein the tail meat, but now we've got a perfect prop for the Thermidor recipe. Now in a small pot pan, I'm going to add a bit of water. I'm going to throw that on the stove, and I'm going to season it with a little bit of chicken bouillon. Give that a quick whisk, then come back and add the fins and the membrane, as well as those lobster shells to the pan. And over medium heat, I'm going to steam the shells as well as make a small broth. The tail meat now needs to just be cut in half. You don't have to do it this way, but I find I get 2 equal portions for each tail that I can easily pan fry. But first we need to make a marinade, starting with some melted butter, some blackened seasoning, my recipe, dried parsley, salt and pepper, and of course, some chopped garlic. Give that a quick whisk. Then drop the tail meat right in the marinade and mix thoroughly. Now in a hot pan on the stove, we're going to add each one of those marinated lobster strips. Now we don't want to cook them all the way through at this point. We just want a nice pan sear to add some good texture, some color, which will add flavor. And over medium-high heat, you only need to sear for about a minute on each side before you flip. Just look how beautiful this lobster's turning out already. And if you love lobster as much as I do, you'll understand when I say it's hard to not eat it straight out of the pan. Again, we only need about a minute on each side, so we're going to go ahead and remove it from the heat. Throw it right down on a cutting board, let it cool for a second, and get right into cutting it into bite-sized pieces. Now we're going to take that right back to the same pan, and we're going to cook these all the way through now as we make our saffron sauce. You can cook the saffron sauce separately if you prefer, but it's better this way. Start by adding some whipping cream. Now we're going to add some of that lobster broth. A sweet vermouth, and some Parmesan cheese. Now just mix that thoroughly. Once that cheese is melted in, I'm going to go ahead and add some butter. If you like this video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Some dried scallion, dried parsley, and of course, the star of the show, saffron. Just a few pinches is all you'll need. Now once again, just get in there and give that a good stir. Mix all that in until it looks something like this. Now you don't want to overcook the lobster, so we need to pull it out. Now all you have to do is set that aside here for a few minutes while we reduce our sauce. We need it to thicken up just a bit more. When you can pull your spoon through it like this, You see kind of a tracer of the pan? That's when you know you can go ahead and remove it from the heat, and it'll thicken up as it cools down. Now I've added the shells to a casserole dish, so you can see we're cooked. Not so perfect, but it's alright. They're just props anyway. So we'll add that cooked lobster tail meat to the shells. And you don't have to overthink this one. Just fill them all up till there's no shell left to fill. You might have to rearrange it a little bit. They like to roll a little bit too, so might need a little straightening. But now all you have to do is come over the top with some breadcrumbs, like this panko. And I like to use seasoned panko, by the way. But then you want to come back over the top with our saffron sauce. And don't be sparingly about this. Cover them until that sauce is gone. It's going to soak into those breadcrumbs and work its way down into that lobster meat, make it creamy. Now we're just going to add that to our oven under the broiler. About 6 inches of space is what you need here. And only about 2.5 to 3 minutes on a high broil. And you should be able to turn out something that looks like this. And there you have it. Lobster Thermidor right here in the Poor Man's Gourmet kitchen. Thank you for watching, and be sure to stop by PoorMansGourmetKitchen.com for more recipes and exact ingredients.